Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, Tulane parents. This is Penny Wyatt, the Director of Parent Programs and External Relations for the Division of Student Affairs at Tulane. Welcome to our annual Move-In Shipping and Mail Services parent webinar. We hope that you will find this information helpful. We know that you're keen to get this information. We've had hundreds and hundreds of parents register for this particular webinar. And because the number is so high, we did want to let you know that we'll probably only be able to take a limited number of questions at the end of the webinar. But we've done this webinar for several years, and we refine it every year based on the questions that we received the previous year. So we've really tried to anticipate everything you may need to know. And the contact information for the relevant departments will be included in the slides as well, so that you can follow up if you have questions about something that's so specific that it wasn't mentioned in the presentation. But we ask that you hold all your questions until the end. So I will prompt you when it's time to type in questions, and then we'll have to sort through those to find the ones that we think would be of the most general interest to the audience as a whole. But you're definitely welcome to email the departments later if something comes up. So I want to just go over a couple of other housekeeping details. So you are not mic'd, so you can't speak in the webinar, but you will have that ability to type in things later. And I want to just mention that the volume level is something you can control. So this is the volume that we're using, but you can adjust that on your computer. And I want to just make sure that people can hear me. So that so if you will raise your hand, there's a little on your control panel, there's a little hand icon. You can click that, and so raise your hand if you can hear me. So I see some hands going up, so that's good to know. So I know that part's working. And I'm gonna put all those hands down now and just ask if you can see the screen. If you are seeing the first slide that says 2018 Move-In Shipping and Mail Services. So please raise. Okay, I'm seeing that people can do that too. That's great. So I do also want to mention that after the webinar, so probably sometime midday tomorrow, I will email everyone who registered. So even your fellow parents who weren't able to make it tonight, everyone who registered in advance will get a link to the video recording and a set of the slides. You'll have a PDF version of all the slides. So that might help you tonight to just kind of listen and follow along and not feel like you have to take notes furiously as we're going through. We are going to cover a lot of information in a short amount of time because there's a lot to go over. So it's a lot of good information, and we do hope that it'll help the whole process go well for you. So I think that's most of what I need to say to kind of start. So I wanted to just show you quickly. These are the webinar topics that we will review. And I sent this to everybody in the reminder message that you got yesterday, but I mostly wanted you to kind of be able to anticipate what we would cover. So if you have questions that are outside of this scope, then you should seek out the other department on campus that could help with that. So one thing that has come up that is very, very important is that we found that we have not had a lot of submissions yet for students to submit their photo, so their Tulane splash card, which is what we call their ID card, can be made in advance. So some students came to the CAST program and some got their ID cards made at that point, but we have a lot of students who still need that. So, and of course, a lot of people will wait till the last minute, but please, please, please urge your student to take care of this. You'll see the link there where there are instructions. The deadline is this coming Monday. If they don't do this, it's going to create more work for you on move-in day, and it's going to be a hassle because that will mean that your student has to get out of the car before you even get in line and go over to the LBC and wait in another line most likely to get their ID, and you don't want to do that. So please sit down with your student and make sure they've done this. So the contact information is there. How many of you were aware of this upcoming deadline? Raise your hand for that. because maybe your student hasn't even mentioned it to you. So please help them take care of that. It'll make your life so much better. So the other thing that I wanted to mention is we want to get this out of the way because a lot of parents ask this. So this slide is labeled to be B&B or not to be B&B. So people ask about this Bed Bath & Beyond program. We are not affiliated with this directly, but we get a lot of questions about it because we know that the company has this option where you can order linens and other supplies and have it available for pickup at your destination location. So we wanted to just give you some options here and let you know. So you'll see that there are 2 stores, and they are in suburbs of New Orleans. So their address, if you are looking for them in their website, might not come up if you're only searching on New Orleans. So one is in Harvey, the other is in Metairie. You can see the distance there from campus. The Metairie store on Veterans Boulevard is between the airport and Tulane's campus. So you can do this any way you want, but you make that choice. Sometimes people ask us which is better. It really may depend on when you're coming in and if you're going to be flying in or if you're going to rent a car that day while you're here and you're going to be running errands. But you can look at these different options. We will mention that we'll have a free Tulane shuttle on move-in day. That is one of our usual shuttles that runs on the weekends, and it goes out to the Clearview Mall, which is where the Bed Bath & Beyond is in Clearview Mall, and there's also a Target out there. So that shuttle will be running, especially on move-in day, only to that shopping center. There's other stops when it goes out on the weekends, but for the students. But it'll run from 10 a.m. to 5:30. It'll leave on the hour from campus at a stop that's between the Dival Parking Garage and the Riley Recreation Center. And then it'll leave from the mall on the half hour. So that's a service that's available to you if you want to use that. So I am going to turn things over to Jay Malbrough, and he will tell you about the mail services component.
Okay, hello. My name is Jay Malbrough. I am Director of Mail Services here at Tulane University, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about how we try to make things easy dealing with shipping things in. We realize a lot of you are coming from a long distance, and makes it a lot easier to be able to pre-ship some of them things in. So just going to tell you a little bit about how that process works. Okay, we've emailed and sent by mail a packet of instructions and labels to all the students already. That was sent out last week, and the emails were sent out. Email version of that was sent out towards the end of last week. So those are all in. We can tell you that this is a partnership with Federal FedEx office, although you may use other carriers. In this packet of instructions, we provide shipping schedules as far as when you should ship things and when not to ship things, that it's too early and so forth. In the process, we'll take care of receiving and routing the packages, depending on the program you signed up for. Another option is that we also have ROTC students who will be on hand on move-in day from 8 to about 6 o'clock to help you move any boxes that you may be picking up from our trailers or our other alternate locations. This is a quick glance at the packet, some of the that was sent to you in the mail. It's also version was sent to the Tulane students' Tulane email address. Some information that's in here. These are some items from the packet that we certainly want you to take time to review. A couple of highlights from this is obviously if you have your splash card already, please don't pack it because you will need that to check into your residence hall. Also, we say don't pack any items you may need immediately, particularly like medication or anything like that. Try to take that with you or bring it along so because you may not have access necessarily right away to some of these items. We ask that you please do not ship any liquids, laundry detergent, water, etc. These tend to end up getting broken in transit, and will leak over the contents of your box and other boxes, and it's quite a mess. They have laundry detergent that will be that is for sale here on campus at the bookstore, as well as water. One of the other things we talk about packing is we ask you to please make sure you use heavy-duty boxes that are designed for shipping. Be careful if you're going to Lowe's or Home Depot and buying boxes. Make sure they're the heavy-duty shipping boxes and not just moving boxes, because those are designed basically to be carried in your car and moved, and they do not hold up very well in the shipping process. They tend to get severely torn up, and so we encourage you to ship in shipping boxes. Some other instructions about kind of how to ship. We ask that you label the box on at least 3 sides with the box number. You can use the enclosed label. We encourage you to use the enclosed labels that have the box number and the student's name on them. These also help us to identify things in our check-in process for the boxes, for checking, sorting, and storage. We will remind you that these are not prepaid labels. You will have to purchase shipping with your carrier of choice and pay shipping for these. These are strictly internal labels that we use to help sort things. And we do understand that you will be probably ordering items as well as shipping your own things. And like I said, they're not required to have these labels on it. They're just helpful, particularly if you're packing and shipping some things from home. They help us just expedite the sorting process. Okay. One other important point from this sheet is that when you do ship, it's very important that you make sure you keep your tracking numbers and bring those with you to campus in case there are any issues. That's the easiest way for us to track things down. So make sure you keep those numbers, and important to bring those with you. So a couple of other highlights from the packet. This is a sample of some of the labels you probably got. These are the standard labels. Like I said, the 3 for the sides, and then a main address label, which shows you the student's mailbox number, and that mailbox number is going to be their number for the entire year. 31 McAllister is going to be their standard address. We'll get to this in a minute, but we have some specialized addresses strictly for the move-in process if you've signed up for one of our programs. But this would be the normal address you're going to use all year long. It's also in the letter. There's a letter that is in that packet, and that will also details that piece. So for our standard program, this is the calendar based on shipping. It's based on the map of the United States, which is here, where you can kind of see what zone you're in. It tells you when you should ship. This is based on FedEx ground transit times. Sort of the blue, yellow, and green zone kind of tell you when you want to ship your items. We ask that items arrive no earlier than August 15th. As that's when our additional storage comes online. And so you basically want to ship things to arrive between August 15th and August 21st, which would be the day before move-in day. As long as they arrive in that window, we'll have them sorted and stored for you, and they'll be available on move-in day. This is just some sample of the trailer layout that we use. We have 7 large 52-foot FedEx tractor trailer trucks that are staged on campus with platforms between them. This is where the items are received and sorted and stored. A little more sample of what types of boxes and things that we get. Like I said, we get hundreds and hundreds of boxes over that week, and yeah. So this is also in the packet. This is just a little move-in map. It kind of highlights the different residence halls, as well as the location where the FedEx trailers will be, and then also Brough Mail Services, which is the main mail services location, where packages will basically be all year long. Anything you ship after the first week, those are going to be there for the rest of the year, as well as anything that's shipped through the Postal Service will be available to pick up at Brough Mail Services. And hours of operation for move-in day, we will be open 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then we will, of course, be open the rest of that week and weekend as well. So, move-in day package pickup procedure. Basically, for every package, a student will receive an email letting them know that it's been received and is available for pickup. They'll want to look at the subject line of that email to identify if it's a FedEx trailer or a mail services Bruff Commons location, because that will kind of help direct them where to go. At the FedEx trailers, you'll present your ID. A FedEx staff member will then direct you to the correct platform, as we have 4 platforms set up, A, B, C, and D. So they'll direct you to the correct platform. At mail services, you'll also present your ID. We'll scan that ID and we'll identify what items you have to be picked up. So they'll at the platforms, the trailers, they'll pull items from the trailers. They'll scan and obtain a signature from the student. There will be ROTC cadets on hand to then load up those items and then escort you and the students to the residence hall. There's also be a customer service area out at the trailers that will be there to handle any problems, issues. They'll be loaning out hand trucks. If you choose not to have a ROTC cadet or the ROTC cadet's not available, there will be plenty of hand trucks to loan out. They also provide basic technology support to the trailer platforms. Some troubleshooting. Also, in customer service can help you with these package tracer forms to handle common problems, which are usually just miszoned items placed in the wrong zone on a truck. Some of the items it's confusing where they've been received at the Bruff Mail Center if you didn't look at that email. So they can help you with all these issues. If there are any damaged items, we kind of triage those and handle those in a separate little process, as well as just general packing, tracking, and vendor issues with that. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about our special pilot pre-delivery program. This is the 3rd year that we've offered this program, and it was basically offered to us first-year students with their room assignments. They were instructed to sign up. They had a limited time to sign up for this program, and by signing up for the program, they were mailed a packet which has slightly different instructions and slightly different labels. Here's a sample of that, some of those labels. This is so anyway, what this allows you to do is ship up to 4 boxes from home. They must use the enclosed labels. And these items will be placed into the residence hall room of the student before you arrive. They'll be placed in the room several days before. They will be there. We ask that you ship only 4 boxes with this program, and you must use these special labels. So they have to be shipped from home. They can't be shipped from a vendor because they will not have the special labels, and we are requiring these labels because these help identify the room number and the residence hall and so forth. You may notice on these labels, they also have specialized addresses that are different than the 31 McAllister. You'll see 13 McAllister, 15 McAllister, and 17. These are temporary use addresses only. These are for the pre-shipping program to help us identify and sort out based on the residence hall. So another address we're using is 64 Newcomb Place. This is an address being used to represent these 4 residence halls, and labels with the same thing. So it's very critical that you have these labels on those boxes if you want them to be pre-placed into the room. Shipping is a little bit different. Items need to arrive a little bit earlier. We ask that nothing arrive before the 10th of August for this program. So basically you want items to arrive between the 10th and the 14th, because that's going to allow them to be received, stored, and then they will be brought to campus and located into the residence hall rooms over that next several days. Same thing, map in the zones that help you based on where you are when you want to get those items shipped by FedEx ground to get those here. Okay, we also always get questions about oversized items, and yes, we do handle oversized items, special items, including bicycles, golf clubs, guitars. We accept anything as long as if the carrier can ship it, we'll accept it. We just asked you to remind you to always make sure that if you are shipping these large oversized items, have them professionally packed for safety. FedEx office does a very good job. If you go to that location, they will be able to pack those things appropriately and safely. They have a variety of special types, boxes and so forth. Items like guitars and keyboards and so forth, we encourage you to have those in their original carrying cases as well, and then packed again in an outer box. It adds to the protection for those items. But we do receive these items, and we can absolutely handle them. Some other items about mail services. We're located in Brough Commons on the first floor. This is, of course, where the students' main dining hall is, where it is upstairs. So we're there. Other things the students will have to do, they'll have to come and pick up a mailbox key to check their mailbox for as far as letter mail, greeting cards, magazines, and so forth. They'll be able to pick that up. We'll be there on move-in day to do that. Normal procedures will be that the student will receive packages here. They'll receive an email whenever a package is received for them. They'll come to the window with their splash card and be able to pick that up. This is just some sample of some of the back of the house where we store boxes for the students all year long. Okay, this is some contact information. I'm sure there are probably some other questions. Feel free to email us at mailbox@tulane.edu. That's really the best way to connect to us. We monitor that email all day and promise you a quick response. We also have a couple of phone numbers if you do want to call. One is specialized for move-in questions, and then another one's for more generalized questions. I thank you, and I'm going to turn this over to John Tingley for some housing information related to move-in.
Hi everyone, my name is John Tingley. I'm the Assistant Director for Housing Facilities and the person who you're graced with the presence for move-in information. So before I walk through the move-in process for first-year students, I want to give 2 heads-ups about some important information. The first one is I just hope that y'all are preparing for talking to your student and your student's roommates about what you're going to bring to campus for move-in. We ask that you be critical and only bring things that you need for that first week or so of school. I'm a planner myself and like to plan every single inch of my space. I'm sure your students are thinking of those same things, and maybe some of you are trying to plan, every inch of how that space will be decorated, what things you'd want to put up in the room. But I think the reality is that most students won't know what they actually want to do in the room until they've gotten a chance to get in the room and talk to their roommate, and that will change once they've arrived. So we ask that you only bring things that you need for that first week or so of school, and then pick up things either once you're here or after the student has had a chance to live in that space for a little bit. That will help you a lot on move-in day because there are less items you have to bring up to that room. The other thing, and it's highlighted on this slide here as well, is that it's critical that your student takes the photo for their splash card ID and gets that sent in by August 6th. It's a very easy photo to take. They can take it with their phone as long as they meet the guidelines that Card Services has laid out for them, and just send that in using the online form. The reason why it's so critical is that when we have the IDs printed in advance, we will then take them from Card Services and make sure that the correct access has been added to those cards in advance, so that when you and your student come to check in, they can just be given the card that's already good to go. It has their meal plan on it, it has their access to the building and other buildings on campus already set up, and we'll just give it to them and issue it to them when they check in, instead of having to go to another line, another building, and not be able to check in right away. So please, please, please make sure that you've talked to your student about that and get that done by Monday, August 6th. All right, so I want to walk through what move-in day will look like for you. For students who are arriving on the 22nd, we have a pretty substantial and controlled move-in operation. You should have already received a printed move-in pass sent to you. It's a postcard that says move-in pass on one side, and the back side says, please don't throw this away. You need to use it for move-in. So please don't throw that away, and please bring it with you when you're coming for move-in. You'll need that pass to arrive in a vehicle on campus during your assigned time slot. That assigned time slot is in an email that's sent to your student and also printed on that move-in pass. We have officers from the New Orleans Police Department and the Tulane Police Department who will be on the perimeter of campus, and they only let folks with the correct time slot pass in during those time slots. So it's critical that you have that when you get to campus. So once you've arrived at the move-in queue for your student's building, you'll drive up and there's an unloading area where you'll be greeted by move-in volunteers, and they will unload your students' belongings into these big carts that we rent for move-in, and that volunteer will essentially hand it off until it gets to your student's room. So they'll navigate the line for the elevators for you, they will label the belongings to get them up to the room, and then someone will bring them to the room to unload them into that room. So while that's all happening, your student can then go visit one of our staff in that building lobby and get checked in, get their splash card, get a key if they need a key, and then other materials that we give you during check-in. So hopefully by the time you're done checking in, your belongings have gotten to your room and you'll be set to go. After those belongings are out of the car, we ask that you move the vehicle to one of our 2 parking areas on campus. That's the Diebold parking structure or the Claiborne Avenue lot. There is a shuttle running from those lots on a regular basis to bring you back from the parking areas. They're also a short 5 to 10 minute walk, depending on the building, back from that area. Although if it's 90 degrees out, that could be a much longer walk. So we do have a shuttle for you from those parking lots. That's the time when your student can then go visit Jay's staff in the FedEx trailers or in the mailroom and pick up packages, and then bring those back to the room and start setting everything up in the room. We just ask that while you're moving in, that you're mindful of the fact that there are other students moving in that day. This year, there will be about 1,800 students moving in on Wednesday, so it's going to be busy. There may be a short line, but we're going to do our best to reduce the wait time to get into your room and keep the move-in queues moving along. Just so you all know, the move-in time slots are set up on a floor-based schedule, so you shouldn't expect that your roommate is going to arrive before you will in a different time slot. For the most part, roommates are paired together in the same time slot, so you'll be arriving together, and your RA will be on your floor during that time to welcome you and answer any questions that you may have during that move-in time. If you are coming to campus using a car service, so that could be a car service from the airport, a taxi, Uber, or Lyft, you should use the address that's referenced in the move-in guide on page 5. It's the address for our field house on Rotc Street. We will have some staff who will be there to greet you and help you move belongings to your residence hall, so you don't have to enter a long queue and then be charged more for your car service to wait in a line. If you haven't had a chance to look through the move-in guide, I highly recommend you read that move-in guide. It links to the interactive campus map that we have, and it can be very useful to click on the building name on page 6, and it will show you the exact unloading route or traffic route for your student's building by clicking that hall name on the move-in guide check-in locations description on page 6. If your student is an early arrival, I'll talk a little bit about that process on the next slide. We are done accepting applications for early move-in. The reason for that is that we've already submitted passes, and passes have been mailed for move-in time slots. We've shared move-in dates with our partners in card services and campus services, who will be encoding data on cards and setting up access. So there's not an opportunity at this point to add any more early arrivals or change someone's check-in date to an earlier date. I think that's it. So there are some folks who have been approved for early move-in because they're part of an athletics team, or they're an ROTC student, or they have some other Tulane affiliated reason for being on campus early. They will all get an email, if they haven't already, that contains move-in instructions and a special move-in pass to get them access to campus earlier than other students. And students who are arriving before the 20th will come to our housing office in Irby Hall and receive their key from that office. There are instructions for folks who are arriving after our office closes at 5 o'clock or on the weekends. Essentially, you'll check in at a 24-hour location on campus. And then for students who are coming after the 20th, so between the 20th and the 22nd, they'll check in at a 24-hour desk. that those 24-hour desk locations are listed on that move-in pass they'll receive and in the email that talks about their move-in information. So please be watching, have your students watch their Tulane email for that information. So we put up some frequently asked questions about move-in in hopes that we'll answer some questions that you may have. Some students asked where they should store suitcases or supplies that they've brought for their move-in. All of their personal items need to be stored either in their room or with an off-campus storage vendor. Summertime Storage is our partner for all student storage. They're fantastic. So if your student has a storage need for things that they don't want to keep in their room, Summertime Storage would be a great vendor to contact. Some of you may have already bought linens through On-Campus Marketing, our linen partner. Those packages will arrive just in time to be picked up on the August 22nd move-in. Those will be picked up from Butler Hall. We have an office right in front of that building. And so we'll direct you to Butler Hall to pick up those linens. They can't be picked up before the August 22nd move-in day. I talked a little bit about the car service drop-off area by our field house. And like I said, we'll have golf carts available for to take those students and family members to their move-in location, check-in location that day. There may be a short line for golf carts depending on how many people are using this service. You absolutely don't have to wait for a golf cart to get to your building. You could go to your building on your own, but just know we will have some golf carts there to help bring y'all to your buildings. Some folks will arrive before move-in day and may want to see a room. Unfortunately, we can't offer access to a student's room before their designated check-in date. There are a variety of reasons for that. We do a lot of summer projects. We want to make sure that rooms are ready to go for move-in day. We have used rooms on campus for summer conferences and summer school, so we're going to be actively cleaning spaces, turning spaces over, making improvements to buildings right up until just before move-in day, and we can't give access to a student before we're expecting them to check in. Some of you may have a student who's moving in early for an athletics team or some other Tulane affiliated purpose. First year students who are coming early were also mailed a move-in pass, so you can come back on Wednesday if you'd like to come to experience move-in day. I will say just my personal recommendation is that if you have the ability to come to campus early with your student for their early move-in, I would do as much as I can to move them in completely to their room, because it's just going to be a very, very busy day on move-in day, and you can avoid all of that by moving them in on their early check-in day. You can find a list of things that you should consider bringing and things that we would ask that you not bring in the move-in guide. It's a fully comprehensive list. I think the things that people are surprised they shouldn't bring are lamps that have multiple bulbs. Those can be a fire hazard and, quite frankly, may just be too much lighting for a student's room. And then anything that would damage the fixtures in the room, so screws, nails, those shouldn't be brought. Things that could be a nuisance to other students, so large sound systems, 65-inch TVs, those are things that I wouldn't plan on bringing because they either won't fit in the room or they're going to make their neighbors very unhappy if they're using them in the room. If you have an afternoon time slot, so let's say you've got a 4 to 6 p.m. time slot, but you want to come to campus early to visit other campus offices, you certainly can. We just ask that you park in the Claiborne Avenue parking lot and either walk into campus or take the shuttle to visit those offices and then check in during your time slot. If you park in a long-term parking lot, so Diboll or Claiborne, you can certainly leave that parking lot and go to Bed Bath & Beyond or go to Target or to dinner, and then use that same move-in pass to park in that parking lot again once you return to campus.
Okay. Hi everyone, this is Penny again. I'm going to tell you about a few other things here. So one of the things that we do on move-in day to make things more convenient for you is that there will be some offices and services that will be consolidated in the LBC. And then, other offices are expecting that you might have questions or students still have to take care of some issues or, transactions and things. So we will have in a print move-in guide, you can see what the cover will look like. That Welcome to Tulane image is what the cover will look like for a move-in resource that will be distributed at the check-in areas in the residence halls. And then we will also have several information tents around campus. And then I'll include a PDF version of that guide. It's a 4-page guide. I'll include that in the August 15th Parents as Partners e-newsletter. So if you want to take a preview look at that to check out what's going to be available in the hours that different staff will be on hand to help you. But you can see a pretty comprehensive list of things that'll be arranged so that you can interact with these different departments to get things done. So one of the things that people sometimes are interested in are different banks, local banks, and some local bank representatives of national banks. And so those folks will be in the Peterson lobby of the Lab and Burnick Center on the first floor. And I will also have a parent programs table there. And I can see in the list that I made a mistake. So it says parent programs parking services. Those should be 2 different lines. So anyway, I'm not going to tell you about parking. Somebody else will be there to do that. But so take a look. You'll see that there will be a lot of people to help you. So so watch for that in the August 15th newsletter. So I know that sometimes you want to know what comes next after you finish moving in. And these things will be in that resource and available also in the mobile app that has been promoted in the e-newsletter and to the students. Quite honestly, the students are more likely to use that app because it is not just covering move-in day and the following day, but it will have a comprehensive schedule for the students of all of the activities that are part of new student orientation and even some of the activities that happen for like the first week of class on into like the second or third week of the semester that we call fall welcome. But parents may still want to download that app because there's a map in it and it has some other good features. But you're going to be mostly interested in this Wednesday evening time and Thursday until 2:30. So something that's very, very important to note is that students will have a dinner break from 6, after that last move-in time slot to about 7:45. And they have to be back for a very important mandatory residence hall floor meeting at 8. So they have to be back in their residence hall by then on their floor. So if you plan to go off campus to dinner, I just want to urge you to either go someplace pretty close by or make an early dinner reservation so you can, get back to campus in time. And I've added this link to a really great restaurant promotion called Culinary New Orleans, and that is spelled the right way. I joke all the time that that's the only thing that is cool in New Orleans in August, and that features probably over 50 restaurants that offer specials during the month of August. So take a look at that. I'm mostly promoting it so that you will make reservations early, both early in advance, so that if you do have some special restaurant you want to take advantage of and sample while you're here, that you can find a table, and early in the evening so your students back in time. So 8 o'clock they have this mandatory floor meeting, and then from 9:45 to midnight they have a big event called Welcome to the Wave that introduces them to their whole class, has a lot of interactive and interesting components to it. It's very much geared to bringing people into the Tulane community and talking about Tulane values and giving examples of ways students have maximized their experience at Tulane. And there's an after party with a DJ with that as well. That is only for the students, both of those events, students only. Parents, go back to your hotel and rest, or some of you may be going back home at that point, after move-in day. So the thing for you to know is that if you are staying through to Thursday, then there are, in the early morning, some optional department open houses. There's so many of them, I couldn't fit them on this slide, so you can look at the schedule online to see those. And then at 11, the students are all in a students-only activity. That's their orientation to Newcomb Tulane College, the undergraduate college. And parents are invited to the President's Address to parents of the class of 2022. So this is your opportunity to hear from President Fitz and also some other senior administrators at the university, and just kind of have a time to just address parents' interests and needs at one time together. So I hope that you will attend that. Then from 12 to 2, there's a lunch break, but also from 12 to 2, there are academic school open houses and receptions, and many of those receptions really have enough food for you to consider that lunch. And those are hosted by the deans of the different academic schools. So the business school, the architecture school, every single academic school will have a reception. So if it's very important for you to meet senior administrators like the deans of the schools or faculty members, then that would be your place to take advantage of that. And if your student's not already sure about what their major will be and what school they'll end up in, they are welcome to drop into several different open houses. They're very much a fluid open house, casual drop-in type format. And then we're doing something new this year, so I hope that you will participate in this. From 1:30 to 2:30, we are having what we're calling a family farewell photo celebration. So before you leave campus, we encourage you to take a photo to celebrate this wonderful milestone. Now, you don't have to do it from 1:30 to 2:30. You may have a wonderful opportunity to do this on Wednesday, or you might want to do it first thing in the morning before you go to these different activities. But and you might want to take it in your student's residence hall room after you get it all fixed up and decorated, or right in front of their residence hall, or anywhere on campus. But there will be some campus landmarks that will staff and have people there to help you take a quick photo. And we would just love you to share those to social media and use that hashtag, the Tulane 2022, so that we could all kind of celebrate this important time in your students' lives and see just how that sort of contributes to a sense of community at Tulane. But we do want you to know that students have their new student orientation mandatory activities and educational programs resume on Thursday at 2:30. So we really do need to ask parents to leave by that time because we want the students to pay attention to all this important transition information that we're providing. It's very important for them having a successful start to their first year. And it's really important to lay that foundation. It's also where they're meeting other students and they're learning about different things that are going to be really important to their academic success, as well as their social and emotional and logistical transition to campus. So if you are staying further, later than Thursday at 2:30, have a wonderful time in New Orleans, but please don't take your student away from campus. We really do need them to go to all of those orientation activities. So I'm going to say that now is the time that you can start to type in some questions, and we will see how many of those we can handle in a few minutes here. So I know one question that's come up is that some people feel like they may not have seen their postcard. So John, those were mailed last week?
Yes, so they were mailed to the middle of end of the last week, depending on which time slot it was. So if you haven't seen it yet, just know that it is in the mail and it is coming to you. It just may be taking a few days to get to you.
Okay. So let's see. If you find that you don't receive it, I really do think that if you wait a couple of days, you'll find it. Or if you go back and look in the midst of all of your junk mail or something, you'll find this postcard. But if it should happen that you haven't received it by next week, then you could email housing@tulane.edu. Yep. The move-in guide is online, and so that's a link when you get the PDF. All the hyperlinks that you'll see on the slides will be available so that you can use those to find that information. And I will also link to that a couple more times in the remaining parent e-newsletters. So please make sure you're reading your parent e-newsletters. So I know there's also been a question about at what point can they order the Bed Bath & Beyond items if they want those to come to campus. So one of the slides was about that. Anything they're ordering from.
You just need to order it, but it can't arrive prior to the 15th.
Okay, so
make sure they order it and the company agrees that they're not going to ship it early.
Right.
So hold off on ordering these things if you're having them shipped to campus.
And really do take that seriously, because if it comes too soon, too early, it'll be returned.
It could be, yes.
So, so please help us with that. We have to do a lot. All of these procedures are designed to help manage this humongous influx of packages that arrive at this time of year. So, so let's see. Let's see. So if there is a problem, if your student has had a problem with the splash card photo, then on that slide there is information about the card services office and their contact information. So I would say you should email them to to troubleshoot that. So let's see. One person says that their address labels say 13 McAllister Drive, but it is 31 McAllister.
The 13 McAllister Drive, that means they're participating in the dorm delivery program. So that is a specialized address to use those labels for that. The regular address will be 31 McAllister for anything you order online or ship later. But for the dorm delivery, special items, that is the correct address.
Okay. So let's see. I'm confused about the special program where you can mail 4 boxes and have the boxes in the room when we get there. You said they must be shipped from home. Don't we have to take it to a post office and pay for shipping? So yes, you do. We just meant that you ship them from your location, your hometown.
They're not shipped from like a retail vendor. In other words, you have to actively pack them up, ship them, label them.
The labels are not prepaid labels.
Correct. The labels are not prepaid labels.
The labels are just formatted the correct way so that the packages get to the right place.
And they are essential for the dorm delivery program because they have the room number in the hall.
It routes things correctly.
Exactly. It'll route it to the correct spot.
But you can choose whatever vendor you want. The U.S. Postal Service.
Not for the dorm delivery
FedEx
program, that is required to be FedEx ground.
Okay.
Or we can accept FedEx Express.
Okay. So let's see. Let me find some other questions. So yes, if a student submits their ID photo by August 6th, then the student ID card will be here available for them to pick up. It's not going to be mailed back to them because it might not reach your student or whatever. So it will be waiting at their residence hall check-in station when they arrive. So please make sure they do that so that that day will go more easily. So one question is there a place for parents to leave their luggage on Thursday? I know that many of you will be checking out of your hotel and then leaving from campus to go back to the airport. So I will say that you have a handy dandy new storage place on the Tulane campus that is your students' residence hall room. So that's really what you need to use, is just make sure you can connect with them, leave your luggage with them before you go to your respective presentations, and then meet back up after your activities to reclaim your luggage from them. But just with everything else going on and the number of people that will be here, we really can't staff or don't have the space to have some kind of a luggage drop-off spot. So use your student's room. Let's see here. The move-in guide. So let me just clarify. The move-in guide is a multi-page reference guidebook of about 8 pages that is online, and there was an email to students that contained a link to it, and that has a lot of information in it. The move-in pass is a postcard that's mailed to students to their permanent home address, and on one side it has the move-in time, and on the other side it's like the parking pass and traffic queue pass. So let's see here. So I see that somebody says they're in California and they haven't gotten their postcard yet. So it just may be that the farther away you are from New Orleans, it just means that your postcard is still in the mail. So give it a couple more days. This comes up. I don't know if you had already mentioned this, but yes, the The mattress sizes of Sharp Hall room mattresses are regular.
They're twin.
They're regular twin size mattresses. And that's because the way the furniture is configured in Sharp, they're built-in components on either side of that bed. And it's been that way for decades. I know that because I was a residence hall director in Sharp Hall a long time ago. So those are still just traditional twin size. All of the other residence halls on campus have XL twin sizes. So it's an extra long twin size bed mattress. Let's see. So one question is, if your student already has the splash card, how will you get it set up for access? And so that happens when they check in. Yep. So they will just take that splash card out of their pocket, they hand it over to someone, they run it through a machine, and it sets up the access correctly for their building. Let's see. One question is a little bit different. Are bathroom items left in the bathrooms, or does everyone bring their stuff in and out of the bathroom? They really should bring their things in and out of the bathroom. And so one of those things that's on the list is like some kind of little bucket or tote or shower caddy. Because if they leave things in the bathroom, they're going to be tossed out by the cleaning staff.
Yeah, part of the reason we ask people to do that is because if you could think about how many people are sharing a bathroom in a common restroom, and if they all left their stuff, it would be impossible to fully clean that bathroom every day. And we would really love to fully clean those bathrooms every single day after our students are using them. So they should be bringing that stuff out of the bathroom.
Yes. One question was, is it too late to sign up for the pilot pre-delivery program? And that answer is yes, it is too late. There was a deadline quite a bit ago to allow them enough time to organize that humongous process. I do want to just let people know that that's a very new program, and we have managed move-in for all of our families for years with the great procedures that we have in place, from the move-in volunteers to the ROTC students who help the mail services people to move your packages from the trailers where they are to the residence halls. You saw the front page of the move-in guide had those huge bins on rollers that John talked about. That's something that housing has added in the last couple of years. So there really is a lot of assistance that still helps people. Most people are moving to Tulane from far away, and they're going to ship items. So even if you're not a participant in that in-room delivery service, there's still a lot of support to help the day go well for you. Let's see. So let's see here. Are people limited to how many items can be shipped? Can you answer that, Jay?
They can ship as many as they want. We ask that you kind of limit yourself on those items. That remember, you don't have to have everything on day one, and we're there the rest of the year. You can certainly ship things the next week, the next couple of weeks, the next month. So just be mindful of how much you're shipping, as it's going to be a lot more for you to have to move and unpack and find places to store.
Yeah. In the next parent e-newsletter, we've got some recommendations from our environmental awareness team about how to be more of a green packer, so that you can kind of limit the box footprint and the stuff footprint. So look for that in the next parent newsletter. So here's a good question. I assume that CAST participants who got their splash card already in June will be programmed and they don't need to do anything once they arrive. But that's not the case, because when students were here in June for CAST, they had not been assigned their residence halls yet. So their card, they still have to have that when they arrive. So make sure they don't lose it if they did get it back in June, because they will need to present that when they check in so that it can be correctly programmed.
Yes, the splash card can then function as the photo ID for check-in. If their student is in a building that uses their card to unlock the room door, we still will have to encode that card with access. If they use a key to unlock their room door, we'll be adding building access to that student's card.
Okay, so here's a good question that kind of has some relevance for other things. So the question is, if my son brings an ergonomic chair, is it possible to remove the chair that's provided in the room? And that answer is no. All of the furniture in the room has to stay. We do not have storage places where we can just, let people move everything out. So please remember that they've got to make do with keeping things in the room, even if they want to bring in something else.
Yep. We found we have students who want extra padding on the chair or want some more lumbar support in their chairs. They do make some attachments for those purposes, and those are much, much easier to move between housing assignments. And, if the student moves off campus for a different year of school, those are a lot easier to move than a chair.
So components that can be added to the regular chair that's in the room. Mm-hmm. So I would say for a lot of these kinds of things, I know that you probably have this big desire to have everything set before you would go back home. But it can be really helpful for a student to kind of live in the room for a few days or a couple of weeks and really see how everything works and fits and what their true needs are. And keep in mind that we have that shuttle that goes out to that shopping center every single Saturday. And so there's no fee to use that. It's already included in all of the fees you're already paying. And so that is one of the services that is provided. And they're big shuttles. So students have bought bicycles at the Target that shuttle goes to on Saturday and brought it back to campus on the bus. So do keep in mind that, there are ways that students can get out to those big box stores, for things. And then if not, there's always, buying something from an online real retailer or something and having it sent to the student later. So keep that in mind. If a student is moving in early and you ordered the bedding through the partner linen company, can they get the linens at their earlier check-in time? That's not the regular move-in day. So I guess if this is like one of the cheerleaders or somebody else like that.
So generally, no. The company who we run this program through, they keep the deadline open pretty late, and then they ship those packages to campus pretty much just before we run move-in, so that students and families have enough time to get their order in so that everything can arrive at once. So for the most part, no, we are not going to be releasing those early. If your student is coming the day before and they want to come to the office and see if they're available then, I think that would be something we would be able to accommodate. But generally, if they're arriving, on the 18th or a date around there with the marching band or with cheerleading, they won't be able to get those OCM packages until move-in day.
Okay. Let's see here. So here's a good question. If your student already has their splash card, or even if they are getting it that day when they check in, do they have to do anything to have their meal plan activated? So no, it'll be programmed already for their meal plan, and their meal plan starts on move-in day. So they can use that to eat that day at either Bruff Commons or in one of the other retail kind of establishments in the food court in the LBC. And parents can also eat with your students in Bruff, but you can pay at the door. So if you want to do that in the dining hall and eat with your student, then you can just pay at the cashier at the entrance. So somebody asked, is the splash card photo the same as the freshman book photo? No. The freshman book photo is an optional thing that you can purchase, and your student got information about that. I call it the Facebook before, Mark Zuckerberg. It's the kind of thing that we had a long time ago that showed us the faces of all of our classmates. And we still have one here at Tulane. It's a print book. The splash card is their ID card that serves as their entrance to residence halls. It's their meal plan access. It's their access to the recreation center. It's how they check out books. And they have to do that by this coming Monday, August 6th. So I'm glad you asked that question so we could clarify that. So, John, a couple of people have asked if they are in one of the buildings that has gotten some new mattresses, will they need mattress pads with them?
So I think for any student, the best advice I can offer is to have them come and use their mattress and then decide after using their mattress if they'll need a mattress pad. The new mattresses do have a side that has memory foam built in. But depending on a student's personal preference or the bed they're using at home, they may want an even softer side than what we're offering in that new mattress, or they may want something firmer. It's really just up to personal preference, and they won't know until they've experienced sleep on that mattress to know if they want something different. And again, mattress toppers are incredibly easy to find. Bed Bath & Beyond offers one that is very popular with students. They're easy to find online. They ship easily. So, they could have it within 2 days of moving in.
Okay. There's a question, will microwaves and fridges already be in their rooms, or do they need to be requested? They are already in their rooms. It's just built into the furniture that's supplied in the residence hall room. Jay, here's a question for you. Is it appropriate to tip the ROTC students who are helping with the package moving?
No, we pay the ROTC students. It's part of a fundraiser, and we pay them for you.
Mail Services pays them. Okay. So here's a funny story. Years ago, our prior President Scott Cowan, used to always come out on move-in day, and he would wear shorts and a polo shirt and a Tulane baseball cap, and he'd walk around and greet people and everything. And he actually ended up helping somebody move a box, and somebody tried to tip the president of the university for helping them with their packages. So no, you do not have to tip people. As Jay mentioned, the ROTC students are doing as a fundraiser, and Mail Services supports them. And then we have lots of student volunteers who just do this as a way to give back to the community. So, and we hope that one day your student will be one of those move-in volunteers. So, let's see. So here's a question. Is a dehumidifier really necessary? I think that's one of the things on the sort of things you might want to bring for your room.
It is not necessary. It's, again, one of those personal preference items that you would want to get after the fact. We do find that there are students with some more extreme allergies, or students who haven't lived in a climate like New Orleans before, who want to put like a small air purifier in their room, and that's completely fine. All of our rooms they have modern HVAC and air conditioning, so for the most part, we should be removing all that moisture and allergens out of the air for the students in all of our buildings. But there are some students who either want reassurance that allergens are being removed from the air, or just want to add something to their room, and they're welcome to do that.
Okay, so here's a good question. Do students sleep on campus Wednesday night? Yes. So while you may still be in town and you'll be at your hotel, they're going to be busy until midnight. So it's, they already have a room, they've moved in and everything. They should just stay on campus Wednesday night. Let's see. What happens if a student loses their splash card? I think it's a $30 fee to have a new splash card made. And if they do lose it, once it's been activated and everything, they can go online to deactivate it so that nobody else can use it. And there is a way they can get a temporary card to get in and out of the residence hall until they can get to the splash card office to get a new one so that it has all the features that they need. Let's see. There will be a water delivery service on campus on move-in day. I don't think that can be done ahead of time.
The one caveat on this, so it's Kentwood Water. They will be taking new customers on move-in day. They will not do any deliveries on move-in day.
Okay.
So please don't expect that Kentwood's going to come right up after you've signed a contract with them to install the water. They just can't get onto campus during move-in day because, again, we've got 1,800 students moving in. They'll come the next day.
So, and somebody asked a related question. I heard that New Orleans goes on a mandatory boil water alert from time to time. And I just recorded a parent tutorial on emergency preparedness, and our emergency preparedness guru said that, oh yes, this happens about 4 times a year. It doesn't happen 4 times a year every year. A few years ago, we had a couple of instances, and it's because the sewer and water infrastructure in New Orleans is very, very old. And if something happens and the water pressure gets so low that they have to do a boil water alert just for the, maintenance of certain standards and stuff. When and if that happens, Housing and Residence Life and dining services have bottled water that they distribute to students. But yes, if a student did have, a water cooler in their room, then they wouldn't have to worry about that so much. I think that people just end up liking having the convenience of the water cooler. And I think that nowadays students are a lot healthier and they drink water more than they do sodas and all that kind of stuff. So it's just something to consider getting, but you can order that on move-in day. So I'm going to have to start kind of wrapping up questions. Yes, the tap water is fine to drink. So it's not that it's not potable water. It's just that I think some people have preferences for having a water cooler or using bottled water. Let's see. So yes, the dining center will be open on Wednesday, Thursday morning. So it's, as of August 22nd, that Wednesday, their dining meal plan goes into effect. So, so I think that I'm going to ask you that if we were not able to get to your question, first of all, wait until you get the PDF of the slides that I will try to email everybody by 5 p.m. tomorrow, because it may be that it was embedded in the text of one of these slides and we just kind of glossed over it or something. And if you don't find the answer there, then email the relevant department, whether it's mail services or housing. Let's see. I think I'll answer one other question. So there was a question that was about how the driving and parking will work. So you will have special instructions on the move-in pass geared to the residence hall your student is in that'll tell you the route you need to use. There will be public safety officers to guide you and confirm that you're in the right line. But if you've been to our campus, you know that it is very compact and very pedestrian oriented. So we don't have humongous parking lots beside every residence hall. And we actually commandeer some of the sidewalks and create new routes to get close to the residence halls. So the big important thing is that you need to follow the instructions of the people guiding you. And when it's your turn to drive up to the unloading spot, unload quickly. And that's why there'll be volunteers there to help you. And, it's good if there's 2 to 3 people with you in your car so that people unload really quickly. And then one person drives the car, follows the route out, and they'll be directed to a parking lot that's on the perimeter of campus. So, mom drives the car to go park and, child goes up into the residence hall to start moving in, however you're going to do that with your family. But then there will be shuttle buses that will pick you up at those perimeter parking lots and bring you back to the center of campus. But that's why we have to keep that traffic line moving. So it's like pull up, unload quickly, move the car so the next car can come up behind you.
Please click the links in Move-In Guide. I believe it's on page 6 that will show you the route for your specific building on our interactive campus map.
So, so I think that's about all we're going to be able to take care of. Well, one question said, can we eat as a family on campus the night of the 22nd? And yes. So your student will be able to use their meal plan card, but parents can pay cash, or pay with whatever card you want to use, but you will have to pay for your meal. So I hope this has been helpful. If you want to give us any feedback here before we close everything down, you can type that in. It's helpful to know what you think. As I said, we've been doing this for several years, so we try to refine it every time. And if you don't have time to mention anything now, but you think of something later, if you have any feedback about the webinar in general, then please email that to me at parents@tulane.edu. And if you think of any other topics that you might want for future webinars, you can also send suggestions to me at parents, that's parents plural, @tulane.edu. So, okay, there's one last question about a vacuum. There are vacuums available. No, not at the. So I think a great thing to get your student is a dustbuster type thing. Some kind of little small personal vacuum. It's just great for keeping their room more clean. Oh, there was one other question I wanted to answer. The students in JL who have sinks in their room, they do have to clean those sinks. Yes. So the cleaning staff does not come into their rooms. They clean the community bathrooms. But when students have an in-room sink, which is not that typical in our residence halls, but the women in Josephine Louise do have that feature, then they do have to keep those cleans themselves. The first-year student dorms do have carpet in the rooms, and yes, they all have air conditioning. We could not live here if we didn't have air conditioning. So we don't know how people did it before it was invented in New Orleans. So thank you, everyone. We appreciate your interest and hope that the rest of your summer will go well as you are helping your student finish all of the things on the to-do list prepare to get all of their things here to campus. But I also want to encourage you as a parent to not get so caught up in the logistical aspects of all the things and the things to mail and all of those things that you forget to just enjoy some of these last few weeks with your student and your family, and also to have some really worthwhile heart-to-heart talks with your student. We sent out a letter about that kind of thing to all parents that came from the Parents Council members. And there's some really important topics that it's good for you to chat with your student about before they start their college years here. So I hope you balance the tasky kinds of things with the emotional and intellectual kind of preparation for this big transition in their lives. So I hope all of that goes well, and we will see you on August 22nd. Thanks, everyone.